On the 15th of August, Donald Trump will meet with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, the first face-to-face meeting between a US president and the Russian leaders since 2019. And the agenda ostensibly is peace in Ukraine. But lurking behind that diplomatic theatre is the more awkward question: why won't the ICC arrest warrant for Putin be enforced? And this arrest warrant was issued on the 17th of March 2023, charging Putin with war crimes, specifically the unlawful deportation and transfer of Ukrainian children from occupied territories into Russia. And the Rome Statute Articles 25(3)(a) and 28(b), violations of the Fourth Geneva Convention, and Article 8 on war crimes were all part of that accusation and that judgment. And it's valid in all 124 ICC member states, and these states are obliged, at least in theory, to arrest him if he enters their jurisdiction. But the US, bizarrely, is not an ICC member. Washington signed the Rome Statute in 2000, but withdrew its signature in 2002. So because the US is not a state party, it has no treaty-based duty to execute the warrant. Discretion, not compulsion, underlines the response of the United States. So while US authorities could voluntarily cooperate with the ICC, they are under no legal mandate to do so. The ICC has ruled that sitting heads of state enjoy no immunity for core international crimes, but that only binds the member states, and customary international law normally grants personal immunity to heads of state from arrest abroad. Non-members like the US can cite that immunity to justify inaction. So arresting Putin on US soil would, of course, trigger a global crisis, potentially worse than anything seen since the Cuban Missile Crisis, and Trump's administration is actively courting Putin for a Ukrainian deal. Detaining him would instantly collapse negotiations and alienate key partners like India and China. Putin has positioned himself as a deal maker with Trump, or rather the other way around. Trump has positioned himself as a deal maker with Putin, and delivering him to The Hague would be political self-immolation among his base. Sudan's Omar al-Bashir travelled to several non-member states after his ICC arrest warrant was issued. None detained him. Even some ICC members have failed to act, citing political sensitivities. For example, South Africa's refusal to arrest al-Bashir in 2015. Could the US arrest him anyway? Well, yes, legally. There's nothing in US law that forbids voluntary cooperation with the ICC in this case, but it would require an executive order, and Trump has no political incentive to sign one. Any arrest effort would also involve security and logistical risks of confronting an armed Russian delegation on US territory. The location was chosen precisely because it's safe for Putin from a legal standpoint, therefore. Alaska is US soil, not ICC territory. It avoids overflight of ICC member states, ensuring no en route interception. And the US has made it clear by past policy and present posture that it does not recognize ICC jurisdiction over non-party nationals. The Alaska summit will be remembered less for the legal tension and more for its political choreography. The ICC's inability to touch Putin on US soil is not a flaw in the warrant itself, but a reminder of the limits of international justice when great powers are outside the system. Law without enforcement is aspiration. Law backed by politics becomes power. And in this case, politics wins, and the ICC remains, for now, a court with jurisdiction only where states allow it.